And welcome back, everybody, to the Valorant First Strike UMG Close Qualifiers. As Doug said, we have a lot to get through. First and foremost, I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Esports Doug and Simo. And what a round that was. Okay, look, coming into this, TSM was up 2-0. FaZe needs to win this to stay alive. Now, the beautiful thing about Split in this best of 5 is we are going to see it in game number 5. And we're heading into Ascent, where FaZe played so well just earlier in the semifinals with Baby Bay popping up as much as he did. Now, first and foremost, when you think about Split, okay, it is a very defensive heavy map, right? So if you go into offense and you have a minor lead, right? The other side is better off. It turns out they have.
Yeah, it was just interesting to see how it played out, and we talked a bit about Split and how defensive-sided it can be. It's actually fascinating. In Europe, it's heavily the opposite way, and I think FaZe showed that they can win on both sides, right? They were able to dominate on the defensive side. They were able to do so on the attacking side as well. So FaZe was just very impressive here, and the thing is, they had to be, right? Like, that they were down 0-2, the map kind of leaned toward TSM, everything, all of the data suggested that it might end out being a 3-0 sweep, but FaZe answer the call when it's needed most. Folks, remember, the winner of this series goes on to play Renegades in the first round of First Strike. The loser, Sentinels. That's not where you want to be.
Not at all. Not at all. And look, again, man. So, Simo, let's break this down, because if you're a new viewer, right, and you're watching Split and you don't really understand how Split works, you could, at one point or another, look at FaZe and FaZe and maybe be confused that is FaZe on offense or is FaZe on defense, because they were constantly in TSM's spawn on defense. Like, it was insane. I have never seen a team so confidently push through heaven over on A and then rotate over to B. It literally, TSM did not even have control of their own sites.
Well, listen, then you probably haven't been watching a lot of Brazilian Valorant. Shout out to Sideshow, the messiah of Brazilian Valorant. He likes to see that type of style, and that's exactly what FaZe Clan were doing. They were pushing the extreme, going through alleyways, connectors, through heaven, the staircases that lead into the backs of the wards that the defender spawn, and they allowed all of that to come to fruition based on how they played the executes, right? It caused a lot of ruckus, and the thing is, TSM tried to leave a member on the opposite side of the map to try to catch the flank, but often it was a star player that was there to answer a supportive player in TSM. So FaZe often had to fight players like Marv flank in the rotation, and even when they swapped the drone over, they just couldn't find a solid answer on Ascent. But Ascent is a good map for both of these teams, and that's where we're headed to next.
It absolutely is. One just quick stat, by the way, Marv, Zachary combined 40 and 22. They absolutely dominated, and I do believe everyone on TSM ended up going negative, and by that scoreline, it's really not that surprising. Again, Split will be map number 5, which means the possibilities, if you're a FaZe fan, hey, they might be able to go the distance here, especially on, or if they win Ascent, which that's going to be a huge task. Baby Bay once again popped off here with the op. The opportunity is absolutely there for him to do the same, but we're already rolling into map number 4, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off. We're going into Ascent, TSM versus FaZe. Let's see if FaZe can answer back and force a game number 5.
Goodbye, Reflections. Thank you, Simo. Ascent. You mentioned a couple of times prior to the series starting of just how insane TSM can be on Ascent, right? Like, they are really freaking good at it. Break down a bit of that for me, especially given how well FaZe played this map earlier.
I think it's difficult to say, because I think TSM are going to play a little bit of a different style into how FaZe Clan are going to play Ascent. You know, we obviously know, based on literally Bind, Haven, and Ascent, that there's lurk plays on the attack and there's lurk plays on the defense, and often it's more than one person doing the lurking. Now, this map is very defender-sided because you can, you don't really need to hold mid. Sometimes teams don't hold mid, sometimes teams do, and it will ultimately boil down to what mid control are we looking at for both sides. TSM will start off on the defense, and they'll be looking at a 2-3 split on the B site and the A site, respectively.
Triple duelist once again coming out for TSM. Bit of a from FaZe, as we've seen before. Looks like they're going to try to work their way in through tree room. Man, I really like that from Baby Bay. He's just holding W, right? He got paranoid, dashes over the door to ensure that nobody catches him, and manages to get into the belly of the beast. Marv is able to take care of FaZe early on as well. Now TSM is starting to show up. Sabrosa from up in heaven. Wardell gets in on the action as well. The pancake goes just a bit wide as Baby Bay takes care of Sabrosa.
Paranoia as well to stop the tree room push, and now it is down to 3 members of TSM here. Baby Bay just being a nuisance. Jumping up classic. Jumping up classic. That's how you deal with the heaven push as the attack on the first pistol. Now they're going to start to come through. Marv playing from distance through the archways, but TSM are really going to struggle to push in. Cutler finds one, but they need to find a couple of more as time is ticking. Cutler, last man standing, can't get the job done, and FaZe Clan clean up the pistol.
If that was an indicator of how FaZe is going to want to play the rest of this half, it's going to be spicy. Again, they just were so aggressive, right? Like, they fully invested everything. There was no cheeky baits. There was no hesitate, wait to see what utility is used. They just went. They went aggressively. They went fast, and it worked. TSM on the defending side here, not choosing to force up, as has been the case really for the entire series. I don't think either team has done that at all, but much like the last round, this time it's not with the spike in tow, but FaZe is going in aggressively here.
Yeah, and they're causing a lot of ruckus as well, hoping that TSM members rotate off towards that A site. But so far, Cutler actually holds the line, and so they can hold the rest of this year as well. Marv with the flank. Oh, the shots give him away, and so TSM back out. The mid control is in the favor of FaZe, but TSM have the man advantage.
Yeah, but Raucus still has the spike back by A, right? There's no real easy way to make this work. FaZe is just kind of waiting to see if they can take care of the last 2 members of TSM before committing to the site. But no, Sabrosa. Wow. Talk about holding the line. First it was Cutler, now it's Sabrosa. Zachary's able to trade it out, but Sabrosa gets another one as well. It's just down. Oh, it's just down to Raucus. And again, he was sitting with the spike back towards A the entire time, didn't know where he wanted to go. Now he's left alone.
Bros is going to find an upgrade as well. If this is where Raucus ends up, Bros is ready. 74 HP. Raucus going to
30 seconds left.
Once again find himself flanking around, trying to find whatever ground he thinks hasn't been covered by TSM. He's going to be working through the garden. Here's the reload from Wardell. Wardell spots him though, and he misses the shot. Now guess who's coming in from the opposite side? It's Cutler. He's going to have eyes onto Wardell. Oh, he's in hell. This is perfect. Now that the spike is starting to be planted, here's one coming through. Cutler, and it's a thrifty round for TSM. They hold the line in the initial A push with Cutler's heroics, and then Drone and Sabrosa will stop the B hit as well. So FaZe spreading themselves a little too thin, and FaZe and TSM rather find some favorable fights across the map.
It was just really patient. Is the word that keeps coming to mind from FaZe there, and maybe a bit too patient, right? Like, they had 2 members on site over on B, and ultimately they dropped, but you kind of question, had Raucus been there, had there been a 3rd gun at the fold, what could have happened? But TSM hold fast, they're able to take care of business and knot us up at 1 apiece here in the 3rd round. Not hot and heavy from FaZe, not blind aggression into a site, far more calculated. They've got 3 over on A, and they've worked their way up mid. They have some control there.
Sprays through the smokes. You also have to understand that this is the eco. If Baby Bay gets into a smoke, Wardell's going to get up close and personal, takes him down with the Bulldog, repositions, closes the door. And once again, the push from FaZe Clan does not work out. We've got Marv coming in all the way up through the defender spawn. He's going to meet and lock eyes with Drone, who will back away as well. The rest of the team up in the middle here for FaZe.
Clean.
There's Cutler wrapping around to help Drone with that angle. Now the rest of FaZe will work up through the middle. I mean, this is not a round that we tend to expect FaZe Clan to come out on top, specifically since TSM won that eco. But being down 2 and TSM at 5 definitely decreases those odds.
30
of
seconds
survival
left.
here.
Yeah, considerably, really. FaZe don't have a ton of options. They work their way through tree, find out the door's closed as well. They're just kind of guessing at this point. And the problem is, it's not like they have a ton of time to work with either. If there are heroics that are going to happen, it's going to be on the ace side. But Wardell's Bulldog continues to bite. Cutler gets in on it as well. As Zachary falls, TSM is going to take a 1-round lead. And you mentioned earlier, you know, you didn't really expect this to go FaZe's way, but TSM's defense was really impressive that round.
This will be the true test. They've managed to balloon a huge economy. And every time they're in this position, Wardell always buys an op. Every single time without fail. Of course, this kind of third round gun round is a little bit pushed further back considering TSM answered the eco. But he always buys the op on the third round. He's poised towards that A main side. So this is going to be a little bit tough for FaZe. We'll see if they identify it. Baby Bay also has the op there as well, but they'll pull back as the recon bolt. Cutler spots them out, or spots at least a couple of members out, and FaZe Clan will turn their attention towards this tree room.
Yeah, it kind of forces him to think twice about it. Raucus with the drone gets some info over a couple of members of TSMR. They're going to smoke out that tree room door that we saw earlier, but they're not going that way. In fact, it's just a bit of noise that's being caused as you see them work their way towards B. There's some mid presence around Catwalk, but FaZe have also invested members over towards that east side. Subrosa with the Sheriff. My gosh, Subrosa with the Sheriff. Holy Toledo.
Subrosa. Holy smokes. Crispy shot. Subrosa. You've got a Sheriff. I mean, you've got a Spectre, and you're using the Sheriff. These 1-deeks are crispy clean. As it's down to 2 members of FaZe on the gun round. Marv alongside Corey will be pushing in through the market and B main respectively.
30 seconds
Drone
left.
will be backside. Cutler's about to find Marv as he's up on the ledge there. Now he's going to be looking for safety. Wardell's going to be coming in from the heaven side, but
Oh, wow.
Marv just barely, narrowly misses that.
Goes in, drops a paranoia as Marv just looking for what he can find. Yeah, that's certainly going to hurt Drone. You'll feel that in the morning. You see the smokes coming out as Corey's going to plant right in that. But the 103 from Cutler. The spike does go down, and he's not going to get a kill. FaZe have a shot at this here, Simo.
V2. Marv not working back sight. You think he's going to be patiently waiting, but guess who's got the angle? It's Wardell. Down to Corey. Shock dart. Not going to tag him out. He's got to mow them all down, but when Wardell's staring you down through the amplified scope, you're going to feel the pain. TSM now up by 3. Looking to who to give that ult point to. But man, it was really just Subrosa. Like, that is, like, in one word or less, that whole round was just Subrosa.
It was just so crispy. And then he was able to get the third as well. Just really not giving FaZe very many options. Not a ton of room to work with. But FaZe, again here, I mean, I guess one of the things to consider is now they're going to have sheriffs of their own. They're going to have an opportunity to do something just as spicy. But the truth is, conventional wisdom suggests that they're in a difficult spot. Marv is 1 point away, as is Zachary,
Get out of my way.
from the ults. And you hear the Bladestorm has been used. TSM, once again, comfortable giving up some of this mid control, seeing what FaZe want to do with it. They haven't really worked their way up mid through market or back into spawns or anything like that. It's been primarily A. And, I mean, it hasn't worked out a ton.
FaZe have been controlling that orb on the A main side almost every single round, and that's really how Baby Bay has been getting this ultimate. But look at this. I see this a lot from Cloud9. They push up to the defender spawn, and they're going to wrap around to the side that they want. They smoke off that angle. So they know that there's something going on. They'll paranoia Drone, who has no idea they're coming in from behind. But Drone, he stops it. There's the Owl Drone that comes through. There's still more. Oh my goodness, he takes them all. There's 2 more members from FaZe remaining. But the spike's in a tough spot. Raucus with the Sheriff will find and trade Drone out. The craziness from FaZe almost works out in their favor. Now Cutler's in a little bit of a tougher spot. It's all down to Raucus and Zachary, and TSM will take them down. What a crazy creative round from FaZe, but still TSM with Drone, they hold on.
Yikes. Man, that almost hurts worse to look at the second time. You even see Baby Bay in the chat. That did not feel good. And the thing is, as you said, it was a very creative look, and they had all the pieces that they wanted. They managed to get all the way through the middle of the map back into the defending spawn. And then there was that paranoia in conjunction with Baby Bay flying across towards that area of the map. He had the blade storm, he had a chance, just wasn't able to deliver. Wardell with the operator. Baby Bay continuing to struggle. Wardell gets the best of him there. TSM have the personnel advantage.
It's a good early start as well, knowing that orb is a little bit easier for the attack to control, but they're going to find one on the opposite side as TSM have pulled off this B side. They want to fight for this mid control, and they find Marv. We've seen some creative plays from TSM to look for this mid control, and this is the first round we've seen it come to fruition as 3 members of FaZe Clan are potentially looking for this B side hit with Drone looking on the opposite side.
There's just a ton of market presence. And there's presence back in spawn too. They don't, I mean, they have some cages to work with and a leer, but it's not like they have smokes to keep things at bay. They just have to play this very quietly, very slowly, and very carefully. They have 3 ultimates to work with, so they can add a little wrinkle to the fold. Oh man.
Oh,
Raucous.
wow.
Yeah, but how long is he going to wait? He's got to be careful because if Drone swings, it's a problem. 1, 2, tee him up, line him up, and knock him down. Raucous gets 2 big picks there.
30 seconds
What a
left.
crazy play. A beautiful play from Raucous. He crab walks underneath the ledge.
Joke's over. You're dead.
And of course, the camera is Zachary's. That's the running back. Guess who's posted up there? It's Corey. Op shot's going to take down the cloner now. It's a 3v3 retake. This is going to be a little tough. And of course, the Empress has been popped. Bonus tag. Wardell's coming in from the opposite side, and he has the Blade Storm, so he wants to move in fast and move in heavy. But the shot on the dome will seal his fate. Now Drone pushes in. Shotgun will stop him. That's another player down. It's a 2v2. Make it a 2v1 as it's all down to FaZe. There's a player backside and one behind the double box. Shot's going to be good onto one. One more player. He knows where he is. Ring around the rosies. What's going to be the name of the game? But he sees those toes. He sees those heads. He sees those shots. FaZe will clutch things out for TSM, and they will lead by 4.
1.72 seconds on the clock. Hazed again. I feel like there have been so many times, Simo, that we've called FaZe doing stuff like that, but it really was for them to find themselves in that situation. It was all on the back of Raucous. He had 4 on the round, had a chance for the ace, and it all opened up with those 2 picks early on just outside of the B site. But at the end, it was Hayes, ice in his veins, able to pull that off. That was absolutely filthy. FaZe had a chance there to make something happen, weren't able to execute. Now they're back onto the pistols here on the attacking side. It's been tough sledding for them.
Yeah, they want to push Wardell off this angle. Oh, but is he going to anticipate it being close? He's got to back away. Oh, yep, there's a player. Sabrosa will stop the B main play while the rest of FaZe will start to funnel in as it's an A rush onto the site. They've gotten a lot of control. Wardell and Color just trying to survive and hold on for as long as they can. So far, only Hazed has fallen as Raucous finds a pick on Sabrosa trying to lurk play of his own. It's a 3v3 on the eco for FaZe, and already it's starting to pay off.
Yeah, man, that's brutal for FaZe. Or for FaZe as Marved, excuse me, is taken out. Now the spike is going to start to show up its way over towards A, but they've lost so much at this point. It's not like it's going to be an easy task. There's not going to be any real easy way in, regardless of how you want to slice up and dice up the site. Corey drops as well. It's just Raucous with 30 health left. Make that 4. He is able to take care of Wardell, but Cutler gets a 3K with the classic. There at the end, TSM continue to balloon the lead.
I still liked what was happening on the opposite side of the map. Sabrosa finds a player looking for an orb. A little too confident. You know, it's the eco. Might as well try. See what happens. Then Raucous shows up as well and takes out Sabrosa. So still, the damage has been done by FaZe. Look at the economy. Cutler's at 8,300. Has there really been damage done? Yeah, Drone's feeling the pain, but a lot of players can buy for him. And Wardell at 7,700 still has the out. But let's look at this round. FaZe Clan looking towards the B site. No mid presence this time around. See what Sabrosa and Drone have cooked up with this orb control from FaZe Clan on the B site.
Oh, I like this out of Baby Bay. They managed to work their way around through the cages, through the smokes. Now the drone is going to be there, the tip of the spear, as they try to work their way on. But who else but Drone waiting on the other side. He's got the curveball. Oh man, Baby Bay's going to get pushed back. I like that smoke, but the Roomba's there too. He just has no choice. There's just a utility everywhere. Baby Bay drops. Zachary does as well. FaZe just down to 3.
And Hayes teleports back site, trying to help them, trying to support them, and of course they respect the showstopper as well. But Sabrosa's looking to get active, and he goes, but unfortunately it's going to run dry. We already see Corey working up the middle while FaZe Clan are still here. The lobby area, that's gonna be the first peek from Marv. That spike down, TSM can play around this.
Yeah, this just got so much harder for FaZe, having dropped that spike there. Corey able to get one. Oh, Rockus gets in on it as well. Drop things down through 3v2, still in favor of
30 seconds
TSM.
left.
Corey looking for more, checking those corner spots. One realizes there's a second one there, so they have some info on where members of TSM are. It's going to give them a little bit more room to work with. Corey repositioning, not able to get the best of Drone. Clean shots onto him. Rockus left alone with 13 seconds left.
And with that spike being planted, you see Wardell, he tries to go up through the window. Those bars aren't going to hold him. The recon bolt will tag Rockus. Now TSM will lead by 6. A heavy start here for FaZe Clan, likely down to potentially another eco. But honestly, it was just a solid B-side hold, and Sabrosa using a lot of that utility, drone swinging out from the smoke behind the boathouse, really gave a lot of great opportunities to deny this heavy push. And then Sabrosa's just sitting in B main as well to stop the spike from moving forward.
And again, Baby Bay had a good look, right? Like, they were working their way in. They had the intel. They had the Owl drone to kind of lead the way. But the early utility from Sabrosa in the paint cans kind of forced him to reposition. And then as he comes around that first corner, there's Roomba as well. He didn't have very much room to work with. FaZe have 3 ultimates to work with here. But my gosh, there's so much aggression from TSM. They can smell blood in the water.
Wardell's going to trade one out on this A-side aggression. Baby Bay goes in. He almost loses that fight to Hayes. Down to 89. He's going to find another, but Cutler is going to find so much value. It's down to the 2v2. They're using the run it back to find even more as Sabrosa takes down Rockus. It's all down to Baby Bay, 80 HP with 10 armor. Has a lot of utility. Smokes out the wazoo, updraft, tailwind, bladestorm. He's got the whole toolkit. And he fixed this round.
And he has time. I think it's probably the most valuable resource here because he can choose to play things out so many different ways. He can wait, see if TSM rotates off. He can go ahead and rotate off. He just has plenty to work with. Also, as you mentioned, has that Bladestorm in his back pocket. But so far, Baby Bay opting to wait this one out. TSM have not rotated off. And it's not like they have a ton of info. What TSM is doing is they understand they have the personnel advantage. So even if Baby Bay does bolt over and plant now, they're comfortable playing for the retake. Baby Bay stuck around. Drone was able to get the best of them. TSM have a 7-round lead.
3 rounds remain. And finally, we see that some of that economy continue to break. FaZe Clan managed to get 2 gun rounds in a row. So now this is the eco. On the eco have been very deadly to TSM. Knocking down some of that economy ever so slightly, but it's really just that first pistol rush that was the one that was the most successful. So, FaZe Clan, screw B main, screw A main. Let's look for mid control on this eco. Let's see if we can run a defender spawn split once again. See what we can find with it.
Yeah, good smokes. Early on, Baby Bay goes in with the Bladestorm. He's not going to find any room to work with. Torch Tree goes up around the middle. Once again, doesn't spot anyone. TSM have backed off just a bit. They've given a bit of room for FaZe to work with. But again, FaZe here on the eco, they don't have a ton at their disposal.
You hear that, Owl drone? Sabrosa, pay attention to the flank around the B main side. He's gotten a lot of ground. Paranoia stops the tree room push temporarily, but they're actually going to push up through garden. Oh, now that that's broken, now that the smoke is down, Baby Bay just trying to get active. He's going to go up close and personal, but they still managed to stop the bleeding. It's 1 player left. Rockus down on the site. Wardell stopped the push from the tree room. The spike's up right by the window. Rockus flash, jump peek there from Wardell. Headshot. Be the fate there onto Rockus. 8 rounds in a row for TSM, and 2 rounds remain in the half. Likely 2 gun rounds left for FaZe. 1, 2, somewhere around there. Not a whole lot of time left to work with.
No, not a ton at all, really. And yeah, it's just been very difficult treading. Raucus has had himself a decent map at 10-9, but by and large, the rest of the members of FaZe have struggled to light up the kill feed here. You saw them look mid. They weren't able to get much going there. They're going to have guns to work with this time around, but Wardell with the operator gets the best of Baby Bay yet again.
And this is an aggressive look of the B main hold, and he manages to get out alive with the support of Drone and Sabrosa. Whatever utility was thrown their way, they still managed to survive. In the meantime, Marv has made his way up through the middle. There's Wine Cellar and A main control. And now the Owl Drone is going to be used to scout things out here for Cutler. Doesn't see anyone in the Wine Cellar. Doesn't see anyone in A main. TSM still holding on to this B site. Marv has gotten quite deep though. Can he find some lurking frags?
Yeah, Marv has the opportunity really to be devastating here with his positioning, but he's going to get spotted. But FaZe continue to get possibilities, right? Like they continue to get set up in a position where they may make something happen, but TSM just reads it and they stop it before it becomes a problem.
They hear that? I wonder. Zachary just trying to be as quiet as possible. FaZe kind of gotten their way onto the A side. It was after that Owl Drone that Cutler felt safe to pull back a little bit. Zachary is just trying to be a problem on the B side. Spike planted. And Corey is now going to hold the line from the Heaven side. I don't think they're going to anticipate this. It's a 4v3 retake. FaZe is in a unique position as well. And now the LC1 jump through. It's Corey, Drone in a good spot to hold the line here as well. Now look who's FaZe. He's coming from behind. Raucus as well. And who's late to the party? It's Zachary. He needs to get here quick. As TSM are going to funnel onto the site.
No, he's got the operator, but he's going to get smoked off, and he's going to get burned at the crisp, just down to 45 health, has no choice but to go in, and he's met with the warm, welcoming arms of FaZe and his Vandal. And again, like, so FaZe have shown when they get onto the A site, they place high priority in establishing Heaven control if possible. We've seen them get there a number of different times, but TSM have managed to retake it time and time again, either directly through Heaven, right? Like they'll just push right into it, or like we saw in this last round, FaZe on the flank was able to take care of business. It's just been a very difficult half for FaZe. The game plan is there. They know what they want to do. They just haven't been able to convert. And for TSM, they've almost made it look easy.
Well, once again, we're looking at an aggressive look for TSM, and I think they may be just having a little bit of fun. They tailwind in, they take apart FaZe Clan, 1 member remains. Cutler supporting with the Hunter's Fury, 11-1. If TSM, if they close out this pistol, they can be at match point, they can be at series point. And if there's ever been a more important pistol, it's going to be this one for FaZe Clan.
And here's the thing, too, about TSM is we were talking earlier, and that's been the narrative the entire time, right? FaZe, they like to play aggressive. How does TSM respond with triple duelists, blah, 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 force against force? TSM have shown us that they're comfortable playing back and letting FaZe play aggressively into them. And they've shown comfort in playing aggressively into FaZe themselves. As we saw in that last round, it's kept FaZe in a position where they don't really know what to do because nothing is working. Now TSM on the attacking side seemed to be split early on. FaZe, heavy presence towards B.
Yeah, there's 5 people there. And now off the backboard, the paint shells go through. See how quickly TSM react. They see 4 there. They see a lot. Drone's going to try to hold them off for as long as he can, but now they have to go pick up the spike because it's in a tough spot for TSM. In the meantime, Wardell and company will get control of this A site. FaZe Clan have no idea there has been any action towards this attacker spawn. So now, 3v4, the FaZe Clan are not letting this spike get planted.
No, I love how off of that early push through garage. They fully established control there. They fully established control through mid, and now they get onto the A site, and they managed to pick TSM apart. You mentioned how important the gun round was. For obvious reasons, FaZe Clan able to pull it off.
Yeah, that 5 man push through B main on the pistol. Definitely threw TSM off. And they also responded from FaZe Clan a little bit quicker to the jump than TSM. I saw some of the members arrive at A site faster than TSM members who were in the A lobby. And I understand they were just a little unsure. Once Drone saw like 4 players there, that should have been a dead giveaway. Okay, this A site's free. Let's try to get real estate early. It's just unfortunate for TSM that the spike was in a little bit of a tougher spot. Otherwise, that spike would have been down earlier. Now TSM on the eco, FaZe Clan on the force up. And a little bit more passive play, no 5-stack shenanigans. We'll see how TSM played this one out.
FaZe on the defensive side. It's a big pick. We understand that TSM's not going to have much artillery to work with, but Zachary with the Vandal able to take care of things early on. FaZe slowly gaining more of the map as well. You see him pushing through mid. They're going to be boxing in members of TSM. Rockets with the 3K, the last Paranoia coming in, but it doesn't matter. A flawless round there to check off another box. It's a long road, folks, to flip this map, but FaZe slowly are doing what they can every single round to ensure that they get to that point.
Without fail, Wardell with the op. The rest of the team will rifle up. And we'll see how this round goes for TSM. Looking at a 5-stack to start, maybe orb control for someone like Wardell. Get that Blade Storm for those eco rounds. The rest of TSM actually going to be looking towards the middle. FaZe Clan have an angle towards B lobby and don't see much action. And they've got a camera in B main as well, so they can see a lot. They can gather a lot of information off this, not to mention a tripwire in the middle to signify some sort of mid presence, which hasn't happened quite yet. So good smoke, stop any potential insight or information towards this A site. TSM are kind of blind at the moment.
Yeah, FaZe used a drone early on to get some info down Cat, but my gosh, Drone is able to stop it anyway. They took care of the drone and they pushed into Cat anyway. And they were able to take care of members of FaZe. They're just down to 2 members left. Things falling apart for FaZe very quickly here.
Yeah, it's a tough round, especially with how it was played out. Despite going in blind, Drone able to quickly transition to that second kill. And now it's up to FaZe Clan. Spectres in tow. Hardware less than ideal. 1 player in the tree room, 1 up in heaven. Oh, there's the paint shells. They know where Marv is. He actually escapes even with the heavy armor. Now can reposition Zachary. Oh, Molotov will stop him for now. Zachary will join him. Above. Are they looking for exits? Are they looking for diffuses? Marv with 1. Now it's a 2v3. A little bit more doable, but Wardell's posted up and knows what is cooking. He does get smoked off. And that's where Cutler is playing. Another shot's good, but the spike continues to tick. And Marv will die with those picks and with the spike. And TSM sit at match point. They sit at series point. FaZe Clan have managed to make that gun round expensive.
They just ran out of time. I think there was so much utility used from TSM there with the hot hands from Drone, the paint shells from Sabrosa to really negate FaZe's ability to work their way in through having to get onto the site and try to make something happen. TSM also had the operator down long, which was to be very clear, Marv knew that, right? You saw him smoke off the entrance onto that site, but they just weren't able to get enough going. FaZe here. Again, it's been a brutal map so far, but this is it. They've got to make something happen here. TSM looking to play aggressively as they try to put the finishing touches on this, and oh my goodness, the run it back is devastating. So Bros is able to get 1 as well. FaZe Clan just down to 3. Things falling apart here for FaZe.
Raucus, Baby Bay, and Corey. 2 players from Spawn, 1 player from Market. Sabrosa's got the angle on 1, but the shot's going to be good. Now it's a 4v3, a little bit more doable as they inch their way closer onto the site. Wardell backside, 2 players B main, but it's traded with Hayes, who's playing behind the boathouse. 1 player remains, it's Baby Bay. 1v2. Owl Drone spots him out. Wardell knows the shot's not going to connect. Now the classic. Time is ticking for Baby Bay. There goes Wardell. The shots are going to be good. Baby Bay takes him down. It's all up to Cutler. Knives go through. Spike is ticking. We hear the Jet voice line. Cutler finds 1 to jump up and down, but Cutler is buying time. There's the tailwind. Cutler! Oh my goodness, but there's no time left. TSM are not able to be taken down on Ascent. They defeat FaZe 13-3. and win the best of 5 at the UMG Close Qualifier.
For a moment there, I was watching that unfold and I started getting flashbacks of what Baby Bay had been doing earlier in the day, and it was so well played. But the truth is, Cutler's patience there was the difference maker. He knew that FaZe was in a position where they had to make a move. They had to be the ones to initiate something, and they just ran out of time. Let's get Reflections back in here to break down the series. Reflections, what'd you think, man? What were your thoughts?
You know what? It's like this, right? FaZe, so many times we're in the perfect moment to win a round or to turn things around, and then they would miss a Blade Storm, right? I mean, for example, you know, that first one that was missed, right? Whenever they were trying to push over onto B was just heartbreaking because it was almost like you were trying not to hit that player in front with the Blade Storm, and it just sucks. It does, because I think FaZe genuinely had so many chances to keep that close, but it was just constantly missing opportunities, you know. And look, and hats off to them. I mean, I think they played that very well. It's just they fell a little bit behind. And even at the end, right? Even at the end, for Baby Bay to be so close to clutching that round and keeping the series alive, albeit still a lot of work to be done. It just was heartbreaking. Sarosa here in this round was just, it was just nasty, right? It was all him. Again, some more plays coming out. But then, you know, again, right after this, Baby Bay, this play here, it was gut-wrenching because it was so close. He picks that kill up. FaZe most likely breaks onto site, okay? Because that player doesn't get his teammate just after that. I think that was just kind of the tell of the tale. I like this play from Raucus, though, as you said, Simo. Crab walking down below the ledge and picking up that two-piece. Again, so many good moments from FaZe, but it's just those key moments where they fell a bit short. Here, Hayes picking up a two-piece. The list goes on and on.
It really does. And the thing is, TSM, they played really well too, right? There's really no other way to put it. For FaZe to be in situations like they were time and time again, where they had the opportunity to do something, to keep it spicy, to keep the map close, and TSM just stifle it. Some of it was errors, right? But think about like the matchup between Wardell and Baby Bay. How often did you see it go the way of FaZe? Unfortunately, It wasn't very often at all.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, but again, it's just those little plays. What Baby Bay one round, you know, gets onto A site, gets a three-piece, but the rest of his team dies behind him, right? It's like, what was that for? He tries to clutch up in that 1v2, but of course he can't even get the trade onto one. It really is heartbreaking. If FaZe wins here on Ascent, they go into split and there's a real chance they take the series, right? Without question. And look, FaZe played Ascent very well earlier in the day in semifinals, so they had a real chance to take this. But Simo, it just doesn't come to fruition. Overall, TSM will take it 3-1. But I'm not going to lie, FaZe, other than Ascent, they look great on Haven. They look great on Bind and Split, and so much potential. And look, I know we're down, but it is what it is. Like, FaZe still got second place out of the gauntlet of teams that were competing in the close qualifiers.
Absolutely. You know, for me, what this matchup was, and I was talking a little bit to Infamous last night, the manager for the FaZe Clan team. I know what this team is capable of, and we saw it. This is how they were trying to deal with the Sentinel-lessness comp from TSM. They didn't not having a Sentinel, and how FaZe Clan were going to answer that, right? You don't have any Sentinels on any of the maps that TSM were running, and FaZe Clan found creative ways to exploit that information, right? If you're constantly splitting, there's no tripwires, there's no alarm bots, there's nothing to trigger information to say, hey, there are people located at this map. TSM have to use bodies in places that they may not normally want to have players there. They may want to have some Sentinel information there.
Sure.
So they have proved that their playstyle works. And I think FaZe Clan is to a certain degree the counter to TSM's playstyle. But TSM just felt more prepared. We're winning a lot of the gunfights like you guys had identified. And ultimately, today, just we're the better team.
Doug, let's talk about it. We're breaking it down, right? The implications and, you know, the risk of losing this series. And Doug, well, since FaZe loses, now they have to play the Sentinels. How hard is that route going to be now?
It's brutal. Really? I mean, we talk about the landscape of North American Valorant, and I don't want to get into a conversation of top three or who's better than who, but I think by and large, the general consensus is Sentinels one of the best two teams in North America? Yes, a resounding yes, right? And the thing is, Sub Rosa said it really well in the interview. At this point, what does it matter? You've got to beat everybody.
Yeah. Well, check it out. There was a lot more than just this grand finals. Let's pull up our champs bracket, see how it went down, because look, it was a weekend full of just nonstop action. Of course, quarterfinals yesterday, a lot of hearts were broken, a lot of hearts were made. When it comes to that first matchup though, Immortals versus LG, Immortals played that so well. In fact, I am so happy that they ended up making it through, and that's nothing against LG, but we all know Immortals, they had some more just to get through other than just playing the map. Obviously, they had to play with the sub coming in for shot up for TSM and Moon Raccoons. Hey, look, Simo, I know we wanted Moon Raccoons to come through with that one, but TSM obviously very well played. Doug, I want you to take Genji and FaZe, and Simo, you take T1 and Cloud9 Blue. So we'll start off with you, Doug. Genji and FaZe.
Yeah, I think this one was tough, and obviously as the bracket goes on, you see just how good FaZe really are, and this has kind of been something that we've talked around a lot for the last couple of months. Like, what are they capable of? On paper, this roster is nuts, but they've just kind of lacked a little bit. That FaZe has really come to power, right? They're surgeons into how they've developed as a team, in conjunction with the fact that Genji had unfortunately struggled for a little while. All right, the initial addition of Sean to the roster looked very exciting. I'll be the first to admit it. I was very excited, and I was very vocal about that for that Genji roster, but they just continued to struggle, and they didn't have enough. FaZe was able to get the best of them. And here's the thing too, right? Like, this bracket is just kind of brutal in the sense that I think if you were to take a step back and ask yourselves what 8 teams would be at First Strike in North America, by and large, you've got Genji on that list. You've got FaZe on that list. And that's one of the things that's so, as a spectator, awesome, but so devastating for these players is one of them wasn't going to make it.
Yeah, it's true. And Sima, one of those teams was Cloud9 Blue, another one that people took for granted to make it through there with one of the most powerful players in the scene, which is TenZ. But obviously T1 got the best of them, Simo. Yeah,
it's a little bit of a tough loss for Cloud9, especially when we moved on to Bind for that second map and the composition that they had put forward. There's a lot of question marks. I was watching the companion stream for Slicky when he was watching that match, and he's like, I have no idea what's going on. And I don't know if Cloud9 felt super comfortable, if they felt super prepared for that match. But I know that it hurts. I know that that loss hurts for them. As you know, Doug had identified, there's a world where Cloud9 does make it through and T1 doesn't. But there's 2 teams we have to pick between. Which one do we pick? And T1, of course, managed to find the victory. It's a good 2-0 for them. Cloud9 took a lot of lessons from that, and we'll see them adapt in 2021.
100%. I mean, either way, right now, regional finals for North America is going to be insane. It's going to be intense. It truly is. And more upsets are still to come. Of course, though, being top 8 teams has to feel good, right? Because there was so much energy, so much effort that was put into qualifying for that very tournament. After all, UMG alone, right? We ran 2 open qualifiers as well as the closed qualifiers. So many opportunities to make a name for yourself. Although we don't get any like big surprises like Moon Raccoons, still, we do get the, the top of the top that is going to be there. And it's good to see that at least consistently, right, these top orgs who have invested so much, not only just in money, but also throughout their fan base who support some of these top players, they're being made good, right, because of the fact that they have, in fact, made it through. It has been a really exciting weekend. And, again, I'm going to give a special shout out to all the community streamers that helped out to provide that content for the stream. There's so many to list. But man, they did seriously, they did such a good job. And I'm so very proud of that team for doing as good as they did. They represented professionalism. They came through and just brought the intensity and gave the coverage that the scene so much desires, right? So good on them.
Yeah,
I could
shout out
not be more
to
than-
TSM
Yeah.
Tanner, TSM Tanner.
Hey.
Shout out to him.
Oh, now we got another TSM. Hey, Tanner Metro was like out there coaching, man, and it was hilarious. It wasn't PG, but it was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. So that's what I'm saying. Myth and Tanner, they got to battle it out, right? Who's gonna be the coach? Tanner's got the intensity to kind of match
It's
that of
Myth.
Myth.
It's Myth.
Okay,
It's 9
it has
times
to
out
be
of 10.
Myth.
It's Myth.
I'm
It
trying
has
to
be
build a
Myth.
storyline, Simo. I'm trying to help my boy out. Okay. At the end of the day. Doug, hey, Simo, you guys killed it as well for the cast. We have obviously Vansili and Bach earlier. I'm just happy with the whole team. I can go on and on. I'm a very sentimental guy, okay? I don't want to start getting emotional and crying because it's all coming to an end, but there's a very real chance that might happen. So let me go ahead and switch topics. Hey, Doug, overall, if you had to put everything in one basket, what was your biggest surprise of the entire tournament, the whole qualifier process?
I think two things, and I'm going to answer your question, then I'm going to take actually a step back and talk about something a bit bigger. Two things. Number one, marquee names, some of these like prolific organizations that we've been looking at since Valorant came out are not going to like they didn't make it. That blows my mind. And I think the other thing I just very quickly wanted to talk about, I feel like this has been severely underappreciated, and it's like well warranted. They deserve plenty of credit. The Immortals staff are insane. Think about the fact that they got rid of more than half of their roster, rebuild, and they make their way into the top 8. I mean, if they don't have a nose for talent, I don't know who does.
True. It's very true. You know what? I tell you what, TSM, they got a nose for talent. Obviously with Cutler, who we're bringing on for this interview, an amazing battle, well fought throughout grand finals, well fought in general throughout all of the qualifying process. Cutler, we're so impressed. It's good to have you. First and foremost, I got to ask you, how are you feeling? Because that victory over FaZe 3-1 was great. You guys got scuffed up a little bit on split, but you made good on Ascent to close out the series. Cutler, what's going on, man? How's everything?
I think we're feeling great. I mean, a little tired. It's a lot of games for today, but
you guys go through the gauntlet, like all Valorant pros. Like I'm not gonna lie, I've got so much respect because you guys have to play like just 9 hours straight. Like it's brutal enough being on the talent team, like as casters, as the Cap makes an appearance. What's going on? It's so brutal for us, but hey, man, for you guys, truly talented to be able to make it through. I've got a question. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Bind is my biggest one. We know that FaZe earlier in semifinals was popping off on Bind, playing so well, very aggressive. We had Sabrosa earlier, and I asked him, how are you going to be able to fend off against that aggressiveness? He said, let's fight fire with fire, right? And you guys tried to do that, but it just wasn't working in the first half. So it seems like you guys, took a step back right out the water hose and started distinguishing the fire one round after another. And that was really because Wardell was picking up those picks. Was that like a cognitive kind of, step back, or was it just something that just kind of happened?
I think Matt called it. You're just confident that, if they do go A, that he's going to opt them and stuff like that. I mean, Bind's like definitely a map that we don't really play that much, at least in like tournaments. We're confident in it, but it's probably not our best map, so.
Fair enough. Well, you made it a map that was obviously pretty good. You took it after all, 13-9. Doug, let's start off with you. What's your question? What do you got to ask Cutler? Pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah, Cutler, I wanted to talk early on about Ascent. I think we know that TSM is historically very good on the map, but you guys were unstoppable here, and FaZe was in a position to make plays happen time and time again, but it really came down to individual plays from the roster. What was it that made the difference on Ascent specifically for you guys?
Honestly, it was just when we're playing Immortals, we talked about like what they were doing, and once we played FaZe on Ascent, we just kind of just did the same thing we're doing Immortals that was successful. And then we just know our holes because obviously we're not playing a Sentinel. So we just know where a lot of teams are going to try to work on us is like mid, like doing alert mid, because obviously like a lot of Sentinels will put like a trip there or alarm bot. We don't have that. So it's just like understanding like our holes as not playing a Sentinel comp and then calming well.
Seema, I know you want to take that over because you've been talking about it all night long about the scentless, as you say it. I can't even say it. Kind of composition.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a very tough word. I was never good at geology, so English just isn't my forte. Simo, what's your question for Cutler?
Kind of follows up on that sentinel-less composition. I would argue that FaZe Clan, the strategy and the execution that they went in thinking on how to take you guys down was the perfect playstyle to take down a composition without a Sentinel. So was it really just the confidence, as you had highlighted, that was the key to the success of keeping them at bay and stopping those lurks? Because it's probably a lot easier if you just have a Cypher in the mix or a Killjoy and just throw those down. Was it really just the confidence of TSM players that stopped FaZe Clan?
I mean, definitely confidence. When you're hitting your shots, like anything's gonna work. But I mean, one of the reasons why we lost split was they were like splitting A on us a lot, like doing like a lurking style. Like one person was hide ropes, they were taking A ramp control, and they were doing these things that were like, you know, better if we had a Sentinel, it feels like. But understanding that's how they're gonna play and that's how they won, we just kind of understood that's how they were gonna play a set. And you can see like multiple times they try to lurk through mid. I mean, they almost caught us off guard one time. Drone, I guess Baby Bay whipped knives on Drone on the back, and Drone was like yelling. It was funny, but like just understanding that like they're just gonna do that. That's all.
Yeah. My second question does kind of go back in time a little bit. I'm really curious what you and your team personally learned and took away from that loss to 100 Thieves. Probably a lot can be gathered by you, your team, and your coach. What did you guys personally learn that you took into this close qualifier from that loss?
It's kind of hard to say considering, you know, our comp has definitely changed, but you know, just getting info more like with my drone and stuff like that, and then just playing off just like the communication of like the comms obviously was like people like if they're pressuring this, then we need to do something in return. We can't just give up everything and let them execute. So if they're like 3A, then we should probably push that, like take that space.
I would very quickly,
yeah.
Taylor, I want to ask one question real
Please,
quick.
yeah.
Cutler, I had the privilege of casting this team, your team, before it was TSM, back when it was in like the mouse spaz days, way early on. To think about that roster and how you guys played, fast forward through all of the months and you find yourself qualified for First Strike, the best 8 teams in North America. This is a larger question, but I'd love your thoughts on how you've seen that team develop. How have you seen the roster develop and grow over that time to make yourselves one of the best teams that North America has to offer?
Yeah, I mean, it's just being like, I guess one of the teams to beat is like you always have to come up with new stuff, and I think that's kind of like one of our strengths right now. Obviously, I think we're like the only team that doesn't play Sentinel, so it's just different style, and it's just making like just it's just like a great feeling, and the team is great. We do put a lot of work in, talk about a lot of different scenarios, and awesome to see it pay off.
Well, Cutler, look, you made it. I'm so happy for you guys. You played flawlessly. You did so well. I'm very impressed. I know Simo is happy, Doug, as well as everybody out there if you're a TSM fan. But Cutler, once again, thank you so much for joining us, and I cannot wait to see your performance in December when it comes to regional finals. Cutler, thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you, guys.
Look, man, it's been an exciting week, and without question, of course, all good things must come to an end. But before we do head out, we have to give an honor, if you will, to the 8 teams that in fact did and make it, right? And I kind of want to have a little bit of a discussion there because we were talking about seeding, right? When it comes to these great teams that ended up going through, Sentinels obviously being a big talking point. But before we hop off, Doug, let's start with you, and then of course, Simo, you follow up. Doug, who are you most looking out for?
Oh, 100 Thieves, man. 100 Thieves, right? Like, you think about that roster at the beginning, the changes that they had to make, and then the injection of Nitro and Steel, and you sprinkle in like the raw power of the Young Bucks and Asuna and Dicey on top. That looked good on paper, and early on they were like, well, is it working? Like, how long is it going to take for this team to develop? And they've just gotten better every single time we've seen them. I don't think we've seen the best of 100 Thieves yet.
And Simo, of course, for you, who are you looking out for? 100 Thieves, or you got somebody else on your mind?
I know the my friends at the 100 Talk podcast, the Fan 100 Thieves podcast, would be sad if I don't say 100 Thieves, but I'm not going to. Renegades, I think, big dark horse, but that's not the team that I'm going to be paying attention to. I think Renegades is just going to be however many rounds in a row they can upset is probably the bigger question, because the fact that they even made it in, I think, surprised a lot of people. But I think the big team that I'm looking at is Envy. They're the scariest team moving into this top 8. They've got great mechanical skill across the variety of players that they have to offer. They're very flexible in their agent pool. You'll see players like Mame swap over from the Jet to the Omen. He'll constantly mix things up, and they're really flexible in their agent composition. So they've got solid mechanics, good team play. They're very scary. And you know, I would not want to be going up against them if, you know, I'm the 4th seed.
Hey, proud of their run together. We are terrific. Then going into Envy, of course, they are going to have a tough road ahead of them, but they did win first place at Nerd Street Gamers, close qualifier. The opportunity's there. And again, this is up for grabs. The first ever regional, you know, at least solidified tournament here is coming through. And these teams who went through the gauntlet, whoever ends up on top is without question going to be the best NA team until the next tournament ends up taking place. Boys, it's been a fantastic time. I know we can all agree on that. Before we do head out, I'm just going to give you guys one last chance to say your final words. Doug, let's start off with you. What's up?
The very last thing I want to point out, thank you to everyone who came together to make this thing work. Thank you for having me on the broadcast. This was such a humbling privilege to be able to be a part of. And the last final thing is I just think it's worth noting that TSM, or that SEMO, excuse me, got the prediction wrong. He said it was a 3-0. He was wrong.
God.
It was a 3-1.
Listen, the prediction doesn't lie. The prediction doesn't lie. I'm on top. I'm on top. Doesn't matter about the score line. I predict TSM to win. TSM did win. So I guess with my final closing thoughts, I know that there's a lot of fans out there. There are a lot of haters equally as much as the fans for somebody like TSM SEMO. I just want to thank the community for just giving support and love to Valorant in general. I don't care if I'm hated. I don't care if I'm loved. I just think that the community is so big. It's got such a big heart. And there's so much love for all these different teams, all these different players. It's just so beautiful to see this community, this game grow out of nothing. Just grassroots, event after event after event. It's beautiful. I don't care if I'm the fall guy. I just love that everyone loves Valorant as much as I do.
Beautifully said. Knight, you know what? I got to echo that. Valorant scene is beautiful, and you guys make it beautiful. Make sure you hit that follow button wherever you are watching. Support those co-streamers, whether it be Myth and whoever else is watching. Of course, hit that follow button if you're on UMG Gaming, any of the Valorant profiles. You guys make the scene happen, and we appreciated you being here all weekend long. Shout out to the community streamers that ended up helping us throughout the process and giving them a storyline and a voice to those teams that wouldn't necessarily have a voice to be able to echo throughout the Valorant scene. But of course, for myself, Taylor Reflections Noble, Bach Van Silly, Esports Doug SEMO, our production crew, and you guys out there, be on the lookout for December because the regional finals will be going down and it's going to be a great thing. This storyline doesn't just end here. I love all of you guys. Take care and be safe.